Hello and welcome to CI Chat. I'm Betty Burke, here with Megan Weber, who is a CI advocate for the Organizational Development and Effectiveness team in HR. Thank you for being here, Megan. Tell us a little bit about you, your role, how long you've been with US Cellular, and something fun.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me on. We'll start there. As you said, my name is Megan Weber. I'm a learning manager for sales, and I sit on the Organizational Development and Effectiveness team. I've actually worked for US Cellular, it'll be 11 years this November. Hard to imagine, but something fun. Anybody that knows me would say that I am a Disney-aholic. I love all things Disney, especially traveling there.
And it's a small world after all.
Yes.
Today we're going to talk about FMEA,
okay.
And that's a tool that is in the test phase of the CI model. And I know it's one of your personal favorites.
It is.
So what is FMEA used for?
So let's start out by breaking down the acronym. So FMEA stands for Failure Modes Effects Analysis. And in its simplest form, it's really a risk mitigation tool.
From the title, FMEA sounds like it could be very complicated. So what could it be used for? Maybe give us an example.
Perfect. Well, thanks for bringing that up because I know it can sound intimidating, but at its base, it's actually quite simple. You start out by process mapping. So this could really be used anytime you're evolving a process, you have a new process in place, anything like that's going on. Let's think about a universal example and look at riding a bike. So if you're riding a bike, you'd start out by process mapping that out and then throwing it into the FMEA tool.
Can you break it down for us a little bit further?
Sure. Let's take a look at what this would show up like on the tool. So if you're using the FMEA tool, your first step is going to be to process map out whatever you're looking at. So in the example that I gave, we're riding a bike. This is pretty simple process map. I'm going to decide to ride the bike. Is my weather good? Determine the bike route, put on the helmet, ride the bike, and complete the bike ride. Next, I'm going to start to look at the risks that would happen in each of these process steps. And we do this through a series of 4 questions. So the first question is, what could go wrong? This is pretty straightforward. For example, if I don't determine my bike ride, I could get lost. Or if I determine a bike ride and there's construction, it wouldn't go very well. Second question we're going to ask is, what could happen if this goes wrong? So back to getting lost. If I'm lost, then I am not going to arrive at my destination or complete my bike ride. The third question we're going to ask is, why would this go wrong? So maybe I didn't plan. Maybe I didn't have access to a GPS. Maybe I'm in a city that I'm not familiar with. And we're going to list those reasons out on the FMEA. The fourth and final question we're going to ask is, what do we have in place to prevent this from going wrong? In other words, what's our current risk mitigation? So perhaps I carry a phone with me everywhere I go, which I do. So this would be a way that I could prevent this risk from occurring in the first place. Once I've answered my 4 questions, I'm going to assign risk prioritization, or RPN scores, to each risk. So I'm going to answer severity. Severity is a scale of 1 to 10. As you hover over the column header, you'll get more information on the scale and how to select the best answer. 1, not severe. 10, highly severe, would stop the project or process. Secondly, we're going to look at the likelihood of occurrence. So how often is it going to happen that I would forget my phone, not plan my bike ride, and there would be construction? Hopefully, not very likely. Lastly, we're going to look at likelihood of detection. And this is the likelihood that you would detect this before it happened. So you're going to, again, follow the scale here and enter the appropriate number. What's interesting about FMEA is that severity, likelihood of occurrence, and likelihood of detection numbers multiply together. So as you slide to the right in the form, you're going to get a score for each risk that you've entered. Key to FMEA is focusing on big numbers. So in other words, we're looking for something over 300 or over 500 because that's telling us, hey, there's a really big risk here that could be hard to detect and is likely to happen. And that is how you use the FMEA.
Megan, that was very helpful. Thank you for the explanation and the example. Thank you, and see you next time on CI Chat.